My name is Tashita Chavis, and I will be presenting a PowerPoint on dysgraphia. Dysgraphia originates from the Greek word dys, meaning impaired, and the Greek word graphia, meaning making letter forms by hand. The disability is categorized as a specific learning disorder according to the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act idea. The Diagnostic Manual of Mental Disorders, or better known as the DSM-5, uses the phrase an impairment in written expression. This causes a difficulty in remembering and mastering the sequence of motor muscle movements. Some experts believe that dysgraphia is a dysfunction in the interaction between the two main brain systems that allow a person to translate mental into written language. Dysgraphia causes inaccurate or slow and arduous word reading, difficulty understanding the meaning of what is read, spelling, or with written expression. Approximately 5 to 20% of children have a writing impediment. It's a language processing disorder that excludes the motor component of writing. Inefficiency in verbal working memory from phonologic to orthographic memory, which is also called the graph motor loop. It has issues with fine motor control, visual motor perception, and kinesthesia. This results in slow and poorly formed letters and words. There's a normal level of intelligence combined with chronic underachievement. There are 3 types of dysgraphia. Dyslexic dysgraphia is spontaneously written text which is illegible, especially when the text is complex. Oral spelling is poor, but drawing and copying of written text are relatively normal. Finger tapping speed, which is a measure of fine motor speed in dyslexic dysgraphia, is normal. In motor dysgraphia, both spontaneously written and copied text may also be illegible. Oral spelling is normal, and drawing is usually problematic. Finger tapping speed, in this case, is abnormal. In spatial dysgraphia, people display illegible writing, whether spontaneously produced or copied, either way. Oral spelling, in this case, is normal. Finger tapping speed is normal, but drawing is definitely a problem, definitely problematic for spatial dysgraphia. Disability may manifest itself at any level. This could be from grade school to high school. It's normally not even recognized before 1st grade, of course, because writing doesn't generally start until around kindergarten to 1st grade. So most teachers, parents don't recognize this issue before then. It may co-occur with other learning disabilities such as dyslexia and dyspraxia. Approximately 30% of children that have writing issues also have issues with reading as well. It may be seen in different neurologic and developmental disorders such as autism spectrum disorder or attention deficit disorder. In early childhood, you can tell that a child may have dysgraphia by the way they hold their pencil. It's too tight, it's awkward. Even the body position as a student is trying to write on the desk is awkward. The student tries to avoid writing or drawing tasks. They're not able to draw within the lines or margins on the paper. They tire quickly. They have a hard time understanding uppercase and lower letters, how they belong in a sentence. School-age children have illegible handwriting. They may have a mix of cursive and print within the same sentence, the same paper. They may try to sound the words out as they're writing to make it easier for them to write. They often concentrate so hard on trying to write that they miss understanding what the assignment actually calls for. Teenagers have an issue as well as organizing their thoughts on paper. They have an issue with keeping track of the thoughts written down. They have an issue with understanding what they're supposed to write, and it's demonstrated through their speech. They also may have an issue with syntax, structure, and grammar. Psychologists or neuropsychologists can diagnose dysgraphia. They like to take information as far as academic history. They like to do intelligence tests, dynamic assessments, activities that assess fine motor functioning, such as the pencil tapping. They try to interview teachers as well as parents to gather information to see if a student has dysgraphia. As far as the student's personal needs, they need support from teachers as well as parents. A teacher can inform parents that they believe that their child may have a learning disability. They can possibly refer the parent to someone who they need to speak with, the school psychologist, counselors, whoever, so they can figure out how to go about testing the child. The teacher also needs to accommodate the student in the classroom. The parents need to advocate for their child to get the testing done so they can possibly get an IEP or anything that is needed to help the child. And if they don't qualify for an IEP, there's also a 504 plan that may also be used to help the student. There needs to be a personalized learning outcome that the teacher needs to do for the students so they can set goals. Support at home and activities that aid in writing at home, computer programs, practicing print and cursive, many different things that can be done to help the student at home. Family life is often affected. They threaten this threatens the integration of the family as far as it can even cause crisis. The siblings may be affected. They may exhibit negative behavior or at school or even at home because the focus is usually solely on the child with a learning disability. They can strain a marriage because it's hard for the parents to co-parent together as they're both trying to figure out what type of styles and conflicting strategies that need to be used to actually aid the student. Female siblings also tend to take on the caretaker role for the sibling with the learning disorder from watching their parents. There may be a lack of social support from family and friends. Sometimes friends and family completely distance themselves from the situation so they don't have to deal with the family because they don't know how to respond. Even sometimes family and friends blame the parents, saying they should have disciplined the child more or things of that nature as it's the fault of the parent. There also may be negative interactions with the school as far as the parents go. The parents may be frustrated because they know that their child has a learning disability, but they're unable to even get the school to do an initial assessment. And as far as when it comes to even being able to get the school to do the assessment, the programs of the school may not even be sufficient. The school may not have the resources, and they even may, send the parents to external experts, which is also maybe frustrating. And when it comes to labeling, there may also be an issue because parents may not want their children to be labeled. They may think it's a negative thing instead of seeing it as a positive thing that's going to get the child the help that they need. Dysgraphia in the classroom affects the student in many ways. It interferes with their ability to express ideas, which is very important. To express yourself in writing requires mental functions, organization, memory, attention, motor skills, various aspects that are very important. The student is unable to do so. This can also cause productivity to be low in class. They find it hard to complete assignments, talking. They don't really want to be in the group. They just in general they have an issue because they're concentrating solely on trying to write. There may be also inattention in class as well because the student is not able to grasp the concepts of the assignment because it's not broken down. This may also cause social and emotional issues for the student as well because they may not have any friends. They're just maybe they're being made fun of. It's just there's so many things that can encompass this disorder because the student may feel alone, they don't have any help. As far as the classroom needs, it really shouldn't affect the other students. As this is a writing issue, generally this time is reserved for quiet time in the classroom, so the teacher may be able to help the student without interrupting the class. There may, however, be times the class is interrupted because the student may need to use the voice recorder instead of having to actually write. A student in the classroom, they would definitely benefit from technology such as use of a computer, of course, a voice recorder, anything for speech to text, anything to help them as far as maybe not having to write on every single assignment. They may need help with support, structure, grammar, and the activities in the classroom need to be simply broken down so they understand. They'll definitely require extra time when it comes to writing because they'll definitely need help. They'll benefit in the class from actually having visual support as well, so they can actually grasp the key concepts of the assignments. They need time to plan. Story maps, mind maps, things of that nature will definitely help the student be able to participate in class and get a good grade. Accommodating a student with dysgraphia can encompass many things, and the teacher plays a pivotal role in ensuring that the student gets the help that they need. So such as the rate of producing the written work. For example, give more time for written tasks, including note-taking and tests, and accommodating the student because they know that they have a disability and they need that extra time. It's critical. Maybe allowing the student to begin a project or assignment early so they don't feel like they're falling behind. They can encourage the student to learn keyboarding skills to increase the legibility of their work. Have the student even prepare an assignment papers in advance as far as putting their name and their date and the heading and whatnot, so that's something they don't have to struggle with within the classroom. Another thing a teacher can do is adjusting the volume of work that needs to be produced in the class. And in this context, it's definitely quality over quantity. Maybe instead of having the student write a complete set of notes, maybe let the student do a partial outline and then some of the notes. That may be helpful. Allow the student to dictate some of the assignments using a voice recorder so they don't have to write the whole time. As far as grading criteria, maybe removing neatness and spelling. That will also be helpful. And in some cases, maybe using abbreviations, such as for the word because, use a B/C or anything that may be helpful in the classroom. Changing the complexity of the writing tasks may also be helpful. Maybe giving a student a binder that they can have on their desk where they can have a model of cursive and print letters instead of having to use the blackboard to try to see. Breaking down the writing of the assignments into different stages, such as brainstorming, drafting, editing, proofreading, and giving them a grade on that as well. And even rewarding the student for completing these tasks. Maybe not grading the student on spelling or rough drafts, and encouraging the student to be able to use a spell checker. Changing the tools are also important. The teacher can allow the student to use cursive or manuscript, whichever is most eligible. Many students with dysgraphia find cursive easier to use because it does not require as much picking up of the pencil and placing it on the paper as it does in print, where you have to do that individually. Maybe allow the students to use paper that's colored or writing instruments of different colors. Also, they may be able to allow the student to use whichever is more comfortable, a pencil or a pen, not a ballpoint pen, but a pen may be easier for them, able to write neater. And also, before using a word processor or speech recognition, those are also tools that will help. The format of the product can also be changed, meaning as far as assignment that is due, maybe offering an alternate project for the students, such as an oral report, which many students with dysgraphia would rather actually do an oral report than having to write out. It's much easier. Or even allowing a student to do a visual project as well. That may be easier for the student to do, instead of having to do everything that all the students do at every time. A teacher specifically needs to come up with different ways to accommodate the student in her classroom, of course without disrupting the classroom. But the student is, that student that has learning disabilities is just as important as the other students. A person with dysgraphia actually has many options to choose as a career path. They're not just going to be limited, and this is thankfully due to the emergence of technology. Most jobs to communicate at this point, they use emails, they can do PowerPoints, they can do text messages. So thankfully, this opens the door for someone with dysgraphia where they don't have to actually write, because most business communications between anyway really don't have anything to do with physically writing something down, but rather typing it or whatnot, so it can be professional. Now, someone that has dysgraphia would be wise not to choose a career that would require writing, like academics. That would definitely be a huge issue. But something that's maybe action-based and practical. Some options for a person that has dysgraphia: they can have a career in the creative arts, music, communication, photography, animation. They can do copywriting, interior design. If they want to be a teacher, maybe a sports or gym teacher. They can be a DJ, maybe event manager, TV presenter. There's just so many careers that are actually out there for someone with dysgraphia that they don't have to be limited. The only limitations they have is the limitation that they actually put on themselves, which is unnecessary. Because like I said, due to technology, they're not limited as they would have been, say, 50 years ago. And that is the end of my presentation on dysgraphia. Thank you for listening.